Hi friends! Happy Wednesdays with Whitney on Thursday. Yes, I'm here with Rachel Peterson, social media maven, owner of her own business, and also a breast cancer survivor. So we are going to talk about all of these topics today in a powerful 15 minutes. We'll see.
Totally not going to be a downer.
Totally not going to. How could it be? Look at us already. So Rachel, I'm going to kick it over to you to introduce yourself, tell the world a little bit about who you are if they don't already know you, because you show up on my social feeds quite a bit. But tell us who you are.
Yeah, so you may have seen me topless on Whitney's social feeds.
I wish we could do more of that. Why can't everybody be topless? Yeah. I just said that. Hi, guys.
So I'm Rachel Peterson. I lived in Des Moines for up until 2018. Mm-hmm. Became really embedded in the women business ownership great niche here. Mm-hmm. And moved to Bend, Oregon in August of 2018.
Which is just the most beautiful place.
Whitney visited this summer, found my little corner of the world, and really loved it there. And then in August of 2018, I moved there in August, and then in January of 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Just some things to know about me. It doesn't make sense that I got cancer. Not that it ever makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm a runner, I'm active and really healthy.
You were 27 at the time.
27.
You were diagnosed. It doesn't run in your family.
It does not, no. So it was a shock. It was something that you plan for your worst day, kind of go through that narrative of how would I react if something terrible happened?
Yeah.
And that was that moment.
But even in my worst day, it's not I got cancer.
Yeah. It's usually something something happens to someone else.
Yeah, something happens to somebody in my life is no longer there, or I think a lot about what if I broke my leg. Yeah. And that's recoverable, people. I mean, this is not, but then we were talking about this the moment I found out that you had cancer.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to talk about this because it's so yesterday I celebrated being diagnosed for a year. That sounds weird to celebrate.
365 from the day of diagnosis.
I got diagnosed. And of course it was really vivid to me of what that moment was. I remember where I was, what I was wearing, what the phone call was, that I said thank you to the radiologist after he diagnosed me because I didn't know what to say.
It's just the response. It's take care. Yeah. What?
Thanks for telling me.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that evening I needed to eat and I didn't know how to nourish myself, and I got an organic frozen pizza because I was I need to eat healthy now.
Yes. So it says organic on it. Here we go.
And my OBGYN calling me at 9 p.m. that night and being I am devastated, Rachel. I'm just keeling over on myself. And that was the first moment where I had to ask her, is this going to kill me? Yeah. And but I wanted to hear from Whitney what that moment was
Segue,
like.
babe. Okay. So to give you a little context, just a backstory of Rachel and I, we met through FemCity, I believe, through women in business. And when Rachel wanted to go full time with your social media business and skills that you were so powerful in, she came on with me. And I mean, you had a boatload of clients within. You didn't need me, but basically I was I'm going to take up as much of your time in the very beginning and then give you some space to create all these clients. So Rachel and I have worked really closely together, both on building a lot of the social media processes that you now see and probably don't even know are happening, but there are strategies that Rachel started years ago that are still going in our space.
My little babies.
Little legacies are happening. So we've been very close both in business and in friendship. And then, she moved to Bend. Awesome. All these things are happening. And speaking of the day that I found out that Rachel had breast cancer, I was sitting in Dumpling Darling. I was at the bar, eating my lunch. And Sarah Noah Wilson calls me. And at this point, Sarah assumed that I knew.
Oh, no. I didn't know
So you had posted it on Facebook. Yeah. And because you had just found out, you had told the family members, the people that had to know immediately, and then you went straight to your community and said, I'm not going to be able to do this alone. And I had not read this post yet. It's crazy that I hadn't seen this yet, but I hadn't. And so Sarah gets on the phone with me and just starts talking about it.
Oh my gosh.
Because the assumption was that I knew. And I am like, burst into tears in public. I mean, which is fine, whatever. It's fine. And I'm just like sobbing because there's this moment of someone I care intensely about, someone that's very integrated into my life, is about to go through something life-changing. And I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like for someone my age doing what I'm doing in a lot of ways with the energy level that I had. There was just so much of her, like knowing you and knowing what you were about to go through. And then selfishly, immediately I thought, Rachel's also an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I really had to face what would happen if I got cancer. And this is something that we have talked a lot about. What does it look like to be an entrepreneur who has cancer? Whoa.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's nearly impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I was really naive after being diagnosed in that I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew it was going to zap me of energy, and that chemo brain and all of this was a real thing. But I was like,
you are so optimistic. You're like, I'm going to keep a few key clients.
Yeah.
It's
Well, in
gonna be
fact, I was
fine.
kind of like, I'm going to keep all of my clients. I'm going to work 40 to 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
I'm just going to like keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to kick cancer's ass, and I'm going to keep my revenue coming in.
Yeah. And part of that was like self-preservation of my business. My income relies on my brain and my brain only.
Yeah.
And I'm facing hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical debt.
Yeah.
And part of it was also like, I just need to stay normal and I can handle this. And I remember a few of my clients being like, honey, I think we need to talk about
What that looks
being realistic.
Yeah. And who wants to talk about being realistic with cancer? Like what? I think it's like, you've never had this before. No. You don't know. And have you ever watched anybody go through cancer intimately?
Not intimately. Like at a very young age, I remember, grandparents or because of my dad's job, I saw people go through it, but it was never something it affected me. It didn't really affect me.
Yeah.
So my clients kind of were like, we need to have a contingency plan. Like we need to like kind of talk Rachel out of this.
Yeah.
And me, being me, was like, nope.
It's fine.
Stop it. So probably after my second chemo round, I had 6 chemo rounds total, was when I was going through a breakup of a relationship. I was moving houses. I was trying to fight for my life, and suddenly
you're getting toxins pumped into your body that are eventually, maybe, hopefully going to save your life. But at the time, it's like, oh, they're just killing everything.
Me, and I finally had to I remember sending out a mass email to my clients being like, some of you are staying and some of you are going. Yeah. And I'm really sorry. Yeah. And if the time comes in 2020, which seems so far away, that our paths cross again, that's great. Yeah. It was really difficult. Yeah. It felt like that was probably the moment where I was like, this is life-changing. Yeah. This altered
and that life. Admission of defeat in a sense.
Yeah.
Which is not in you are a marathon runner. You have run, when I think about you, I think about you doing things that are painful and tough and almost finding joy in that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I'm one of those weird people that's like, throw a 36-hour race at me.
That sounds good. I'm just like, I thought I was hardcore, but I'm not that hardcore.
So I think that was part of my mindset going in of like, well, I have done serious physical feats on a shredded hip before. I can handle this and keep my workload. Yeah. And I didn't realize how much a normal human takes for granted their brain. I love my brain. And
it's a really good brain. It's a really good
I
one.
love that I used to be able to find words really eloquently and focus and just you know my work.
Yeah, I do.
And I didn't realize when that stripped away and all of a sudden I can't carry on a conversation or my focus is only lasting 2 minutes. That was such a big part of my identity, and it was a really big struggle to admit that was happening.
When your actual communication style is shifting, and your work is communication. I think about that in like, in terms of where do you find your value then?
I mean, it took a lot of work of like to learn those fluidity of labels and like, you know, to have runner taken away, business owner temporarily, communicator, strong brain, and instead think about like, I am a fighter. I am a, some days it was literally like, I walked to the mailbox and I'm gonna own that, or like I was able to eat today. Like kind of stripping down my labels to the very basics that require you to be a living human being and taking pride in those. Yeah.
And like that's not even to mention the physical things that were being taken away from you. Like that's all internal achievement based things that were no longer accessible. Not to mention the things that are happening to your body. As a result of all of this.
It's a process, and I'm still going through it.
I mean, like this is not so you're 365 days from diagnosis, and you are cancer free.
Yes,
she's cancer free, friends. And was there a moment? Did you know you were going to be cancer free?
No, I didn't. To get kind of into the sciencey background of my diagnosis, so having breast cancer as a young woman, it's kind of a different disease than breast cancer as someone who's 50 plus, where it's more expected. It's more aggressive, and you are fighting for, you know, not like 20 years of your life. I'm fighting for 40, 50, 60 years of my life. And so, and I remember asking my OBGYN, is this going to kill me? What am I going to face? And her exact words were, you're going to have to fight like hell, and the cards are stacked against you. I know. And that, I mean, because she was, you know, she didn't want to beat around the bush. And I needed that. And so, it became very clear that they were going to throw the book at me with treatment. And so I had really, really strong, intense doses of chemo. And I then had a bilateral mastectomy. And it was a recurring theme through all the research and, you know, what my oncologist team would tell me of your chances of recurrence are pretty high if we don't beat this the first time. And when it recurs somewhere else in your body, and it's not curable. It's now metastatic. Which is scary.
It's, I mean, like that fear of like, when you say beat it the first time, does that mean like, how do you know you beat it? I don't understand that measurement.
That's a really good question. Okay. So when they had my bilateral mastectomy, and they also stripped the lymph nodes because it is spread to my lymph nodes, they take a bunch of samples of cells, and if there are, it's called no evidence of disease. It's not called remission yet. That comes in 5 years. It's called no evidence of disease, and that means that all cells came back free and clear of cancer, and that they're 99.9% sure that there's no cancer cells floating around my body anywhere.
Wow.
And so that cuts my recurrence rate down to like, I want to say 10%. I have a 10% chance of it reoccurring. And I started out with like a 50% chance. And so it just, nowhere in my mind. Because I was like, I already got the really crappy card of having cancer. And so luck is against me. Of course I'm not going to beat it, because that's just this is the phase of life I'm in, where I'm not lucky. But I am. I'm a really, really lucky cancer patient.
Well, you also had, although we got to watch your mindset because you so candidly documented your mindset.
Hence why I was topless.
Yes, but I mean, and also like, why not? Like, no longer, like I loved what you wrote about being photographed topless, because it's like becoming female, finding femininity again, not having something that is so categorically feminine.
It's really interesting. Like, it kind of brings up this political side of like, so Whitney and I she visited me in Bend probably like 4 weeks after my mastectomy, and we went out to this beautiful lake out by the Cascade Mountains, and it was sunrise, and we're sitting there on the sand in this moment, and I remember like getting up, we walk over to these black lava rocks, and I take my shirt off, and it hit me of like, my body can no longer be policed. Like I don't have breasts, I don't have nipples, I don't have the things that are X'd
out on Facebook and Instagram. Like, you don't have the things that, and I'm photographing you, and I'm like, I can post these anywhere. You can post these anywhere. You are no longer. And then the really interesting moment was not the really interesting, but the flip side of that moment was you took photos of me.
Yeah.
In the same, took my shirt off, went topless, took photos of me. I can't post those images.
And it was, I remember being more like risque, like, oh my gosh, if a person comes, like, we're gonna have to like.
Yeah, I would need to be covered, but you would not need to be covered. And that, like, just having that moment between the two of us of like, somehow I had something to hide.
Yeah,
and you didn't.
I know. It's so,
but yours, you didn't have it, but you chose. I think that's the thing that happened. You chose really powerfully not to have implants put back in.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I wrote a blog about this again when I was very well endowed. And for my
they're beautiful. But you had I photographed those too.
Yeah.
But you had a very complex relationship with your boobs.
As a runner, I did not enjoy it, and also as a female, I was very well aware of like my body and the attention that I got because of my breasts, and I did not enjoy it. So when I got cancer, it was kind of this running joke of like, great, I want little like perky A cups, and this is the silver lining of this all.
I will be able to run faster, like my momentum.
Like, wear those like cute little strappy sports bras that larger chested women can't wear.
I can't wear those. That doesn't work.
I was so excited, and then I went to the plastic surgeon, and I didn't know how involved it was. Reconstructed breasts after surgery, I didn't know this. They don't have nipples. Like, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until we had this discussion.
And then also, like, because of my frame and my timeline of treatment, they were going to have to strip the lats, my back lats, and use them as, like
the muscles or like,
to put to encapsulate the implant. So as an athlete, I was like, I'm losing my back lats for breasts.
Like, I worked on those.
They don't even look normal.
Yeah, they would just look normal
like,
in a shirt.
Yeah, and and then every 10 years you're having to get them taken out and taken in. There's reconstructive surgery after this. There are also complications, like in the breast cancer community. There's a big thing right now where textured implants, I don't actually know what that means. Maybe they're more lifelike. They now, if you have them, you're at risk for getting a second form of cancer. And so people are having to get them removed.
Well, there's a lot of stuff happening just in people who weren't getting reconstructed, but like being sick from their implants.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a foreign object that's being inserted into your body, so your body's reacting. So you had all this information.
And I was like, screw that. I didn't actually enjoy my boobs to begin with.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that not getting reconstruction was an option.
Yeah.
It's called going flat, which is like, I have my qualms with that name. But so I chose to not do reconstruction.
Yeah.
And this is, so yeah, and now I have my scars. I love it. Like, I have a mixed relationship still. It's gonna take a while.
You own it.
I own it.
I think it's hard to, I mean, just like you didn't necessarily love your boobs, but it had its advantages. Right? There are great things about having boobs, but there are also things that are not. There are amazing things about not having boobs, but there are also things that are hard.
Yeah.
And I think that redefinition of femininity, of what does it mean to be a strong, powerful, sexy, like walk through the airport and everybody turns their heads, like woman. Like, does that hinge on one physical asset?
No. And it was a really, it was a really firm reminder to help me. I remember in my blog being like, femininity is not attached to breasts, it's not attached to hair, although I feel that sometimes. It's not attached to wearing red lipstick. There's no one way to be feminine. And removing my breasts it didn't feel like I was all of a sudden removing my femininity. And there are a lot of days where I feel more empowered because I don't have them.
Well, I don't have this experience, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like if one sense of yours is muted, the other ones come up. So where, I guess my question is, if that even rings true, and where have you found femininity in yourself more strongly now?
That's a really good question. I have found femininity in... I'm gonna have to think about this for a moment.
Yeah, we didn't. We haven't talked about this yet.
I have found femininity in how I've been able to dress.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You've been doing some very fun stuff.
Yeah. Again, because I had a complicated relationship with my breasts, and when you have large breasts, like, you have to be particular about what you wear.
Well, you had big boobs and a smaller, like, yours were bigger, like they didn't always fit your hip size,
my frame, okay?
So a limited thing, like your shirt size on top was not always your shirt size around your waist.
Correct. And so I've been able to wear some things that I'm like, I feel really feminine and beautiful, and I wouldn't have been able to do this before. I also, I've never thought about this until this question. I never used to wear earrings. Like, I've had my ears pierced since I was in 3rd grade, but I never used to wear earrings. And somewhere along the line, earrings became my way. Like, when I pop them on, and I have these fun dangly earrings or whatever they are, it's like, oh, that's my femininity.
Yeah. And you think about that, and we can say whatever we want about fashion and whatever we want about presentation, but there is something. I know that when I put on my red lipstick, people think that, I don't know if people think this, but like, it's not for anybody else.
No.
I wear red lipstick when I hang out by myself during the day because it's how I feel finished. I feel like my face just got done.
Yeah.
I might not be wearing anything else. I might just have the red lipstick on. And for you, having earrings was how you felt feminine.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, I think about that as in femininity, like we put things on the outside that signal our femininity. And what is that cueing on the inside? We're getting real deep here.
Yeah. Whew. To me, it's the cueing for me is it's the resiliency, because like women are resilient. Okay.
I mean, we have babies, not we, but
like
all the rest of you.
Yeah.
At least in my circle right now.
2020 is the year for kids.
2020 is the year of birth.
It's the resiliency, and it's the moment where you're like, okay, I am female, hear me roar. And I, when I walk out the door, if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm meeting a client, if I'm going on a run, it's this strengthening that I didn't have that before. And like, what a beautiful thing to come from such a terrible life event.
When it's what I heard you say is like, we put the thing on our outside and it's the paying attention. We get to pay attention and honor whatever that is. Yeah. In us. Because I think fighting for femininity, when this is a journey I've been on in a very different way, I'm considered a very feminine woman. Like, I have the physical qualities.
Have you felt that, like, before the journey you didn't feel
No, I because I show up in my boss territory so often.
Which is like another conversation. The boss territory isn't connected to femininity.
Yeah, it's not. But for so long, because I was pushing in my masculine world all the time, like maybe I looked feminine, I have the long hair, I have the boobs, like the things like that. But I didn't feel that in the presence of others. Because that energy wasn't there. The like taking a deep breath, the self-care, the like really the acknowledgement of what makes being, for me, a woman really powerful. And honestly, like I've been on this in a very different way, been on that journey at the same time as you, of like, and watching you have to wrestle with not having the physical characteristics and what that looks like.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, I was forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so sometimes I'm kind of like, well, people who choose to do this are braver. But like, by forcing a removal of these feminine aspects, it really put into light for me, like, oh, this is what makes me feel feminine.
Yeah.
These are the emotions I connect with femininity. These are the other aspects of myself that I connect with femininity. Yeah. And but yeah, when you go on that journey by choice, like, it's brave.
It's brave, but I was watching somebody else do it, and I think, actually, not to tie this in a weird way, but you shared your journey very powerfully on social, so people could go through it with you. I make a point to share parts of my journey with people on social, so people can go through it with me. And when we take that step, when we share what's hard, when we let other people in on the stuff, we get to create that ripple effect.
Oh my gosh.
You will never know, although people tell you all the time, who you've affected.
Yeah, like I have this story, like, this will forever be ingrained in my memory. My physical therapist for after my mastectomy, I saw her at one of Ben's coffee shops the other week, and she came running up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Rachel, this is going to be a massive HIPAA violation, but don't tell anyone." Here I am telling the world.
Here it is.
She said, "I had a young woman come into me going through the same journey as you did after a mastectomy, and I asked her why she chose to go flat, because it's a rare decision for a young woman." And she said, "Oh my gosh, I found this blogger who happens to be in bed and pulled up all of your blogs, showed all of your photos, and she decided to go flat because you empowered her through your writing." And I was like, ah!
Yes.
Like that is what I wanted out of this. Is to have that like that one woman, whoever she is in the world, like God.
And like one person.
Yeah.
And I think that's we as a society now, the Instagram and like it's like have 10 million followers. Who cares? Like at least that's not. No, it's never been a conversation that we've had.
Quality over quantity.
And can we have a conversation with people? Whatever the conversation is, your conversation happened to turn to breast cancer.
Right.
Like,
right.
And my conversation is other things, but whatever conversation we get to have, it's going to change the course for 1, 10, thousands of people simply because you were willing to show up.
Yeah,
and say it out loud.
That I think the other point, and I've talked a lot about this with Sarah Wilson, who's a mutual friend, is like people often say like, God, it was so brave what you did. It's so brave that you shared your journey. And normally my response is like, I don't know, it felt normal, natural, like what I'm supposed to do. And I could never figure out why these acts didn't feel brave. Until I was talking to Sarah, and she said like, it's because that first act that you did, people validated it and were there with you and joined your community and were like sending you these messages of support. And then the next thing that I did was like, oh, well, because everyone was there for me and showed up for me, I'm gonna keep doing it. And then it just creates these really beautiful ripple effects that like we don't know.
I have no idea.
But it gives meaning to all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I will remember that post forever.
Yeah.
And the action that I took and the action I watched other people take. And what if you had never posted that? Like, think back to like that one risky moment of telling that one risky moment.
Yeah, I remember. Like, because I was like, honestly, why I did it in the first place was because I was tired of having to have individual conversations that day.
Oh.
And I just, without thinking, like, found a graphic about young women with breast cancer and typed out this blurb and hit send. And after I did it, was like, people don't do this.
They do now.
But that was the start of it all. Like, I didn't realize that until this moment, actually, of like, it was just like, okay, we're going into this and we're gonna make it public, and there's no wrong or right way to like do this journey, but I am choosing to do it very publicly because it's what I needed.
And we'll end on that. Yay. Okay.
So good.
Okay, friends, Have a fabulous love weekend in whatever capacity love serves you best. And we will be back next week, and we'll be talking to Vanessa McNeil. So yay. I know, right?
She's in a new documentary, right?
I know. So we'll be talking about the new documentary and all of that. And she's currently fundraising, guys. So find Vanessa, and if you want to contribute to her next project, that's already on the go. But we will talk more about that next week. Bye, guys.